Allah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ever-existing being that has been existing before the existence of existence. When he wanted existence to exist, he created existence and told existence that I want you to exist. But while you are existing, he said, I shall continue to exist. And it shall come to a time that you shall cease to exist and I shall continue to exist. كل شيء فاني إلا الله باقي. قل لا الملك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير انك على كل شيء قدير تولج الليل في النهار وتولج النهار في الليل وتخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي وترزق من تشاء بغير حساب. Once again, you're welcome to this auspicious program tagged Deen Lifestyle on Citizen FM 93.7, and I still remain yours, Olayode Abdul Razak, aka Philosopher King, mashallah. As we used to say, thank God it's Friday. All right, we are here again with another beautiful discussion, and I know quite right at the end of this discussion you will enjoy, understand, and have your life back, inshallah. All right, the topic of discussion today, inshallah, is how do you know? Yes, said, do you know that there are only 4 problems to solve in life? Yes, there are only 4 problems to solve in life. Do you know that? That is what we want to look at. We want to look at the 4 problems, and we want to look at how we go to problem number 3. Problem number 3 must be solved before you go to problem number 4. So if you jump one step, you still keep having problems. So this is what we want to look at. What are the 4 problems and how do we solve them? Again, 4 problems, how to solve them, 1 solution. Yes, it's just 1 solution to solve those problems. Yeah, but before we go, let me just give a scenario. Let me just tell you a story. Story. Once upon a time, mashallah. All right, there is this guy. Yeah, it's called Abdullah. I like using that name, Abdullah. You see, Abdullah was just a typical senior secondary school boy, and he couldn't wait to graduate from from school. You see, and if you look at our world, you will know quite all right, especially in Nigeria here, where you are in SS1, SS2, SS3, there's these certain questions that they kept asking. And this question, they will keep asking you. They will say, what university do you want to go? What course do you want to study? Do you see that? They kept asking questions around that axis. One question but has different meaning, or else one question asked differently. You get it now? One question asked differently. What are you going to be in life? That's what they're asking. What do you want to be when you grow up? Do you get it? They're asking you, when they say what course do you want to do, they're equally asking you, what do you want to become in life? What school do you want to go to? What university do you want to go? Polytechnic do you want to go to? They are equally telling you, what is it that you want to become in life? That is this question that they kept asking when they start asking from SS1, 2, and 3. The same question they ask Abdullah. The real question, as I said, is what do you want to be? What do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to do when you grow up? That is the question they are asking. And today, Abdullah is 41 years old. Abdullah has been married for the past 17 years. And Abdullah has 2 children. Do you get it now? And Abdullah today is thinking of a change of career. After he's 41 years old, he has married, he has gotten a job. Now he's thinking of a change of career. He has been living with such an imperceptible low-grade discontent. And what is that? That is frustration. He has mental health problem. You know, he is depressed. He has a lot of worries in his head when he becomes 41 years old. Did you get it now? He is frustrated with Allah. La ilaha illallah. Like today, when most people have problem, they will say, I've prayed. I have called upon Allah, What else can I do? The next thing for me to die. Fa'uz billahi mizalik. When you have problems and you kept calling upon Allah, you kept calling, you kept praying, you kept going here and there, trying to solve your problem, and they are not solved. They aren't solved. Why are they not solving? He's frustrated. He's frustrated with Allah. He's frustrated with himself. He doesn't even understand himself anymore. He's equally frustrated with his wife and children. And he's frustrated with his job. Did you see all those things? You know, all those things are affecting Abdullah at that age of 41. Unfortunately, Abdullah has never been disciplined. You know why? He was mostly groomed by his parents, by his mentors, by his role models, by his caregivers. He has been groomed to think about his career, and he wanted to do something when he grew old. When I grow old, when I become an adult, I want to do something. That is how he has been groomed. When young people are being groomed towards, this is what I want to become, this is where I want to be, this is what I want to do, this is what, this is the mentality, and this is how they raised Abdullah, as they raised you and I, most of us. And that is why we want to go to school. That is why we want to get a good job. Is that not so? That is why we have a degree. This is why we are doing all those things. He never down on him, his parents, his guardians, his mentor, that there are so many more important things to face than only education. There are so many other things. Rather than helping him with those things, his parents, his guardians, his mentor, his caregivers, put on a full court press to make sure that he has a good grade. And that is what they are telling us. La ilaha illallah. Now, Abdullah pleased his parents, he pleased his guardians, he pleased his mentor. He was excellent, good grade. He came out with the first class because he went to the best university as well. These are the dreams. He went there. La ilaha illallah. It all looks good. Is that not so? For somebody to grow, go to a good university, is brilliant, very, very intelligent, came out in first class, you can see the way things are going. But you know what? Even at that is smart and do, Abdullah was educated to be a failure in life. Fa'uz billahi min zalik. Yes, his parents did a major disservice with their education-centric worldview. The mentors, the guardians that he has around him, they also make a disservice for what? For that education-centric worldview. Yes, all his life in school, as he's pursuing academics, all those things are towards what he wants to be in life. He spent them looking for how to solve life problems, because that was what they say, what do you want to become when you grow up? That is what he was doing. Now, Abdullah has marriage problem. He has problem with his family. La ilaha illallah. He has what we call rational dysfunction. It's escalating in rational dysfunction. That is to say, he is well educated man, but he cannot solve his growing list of problems. Well educated man, but there are a lot of problems on the ground that you cannot solve. This is the lead tech engineer in his office. Very, very well. But it's a failure in his family. A failure in his with himself, even a failure with himself. Yeah. Now he's planning to quit. Trying to quit the job. Trying to say, how can this marriage work for me? La ilaha illallah. Problem solving 101. Let me tell you this. Every problem you will ever have in your life can be summed up in 4 categories. And that is why we say there are 4 problems in life, in 4 categories. And those categories, they can be solved and resolved in order, regardless of who you are, regardless of where you live, regardless of your kind of problems. Every problem will fall within these categories. Whether you travel, you japa, you come back, you anywhere you are, those are universal problems. They are everywhere. Those 4 problems are there. You see, you cannot be different. You know why? Because what matters most is that you are human. What matters most is that you have a need. What matters most is that you want to solve a problem. And that's what makes all of us universal. That is why we are all one. So we have common problems. We have common problems and we must solve it with a common solution. Did you get it now? We must solve it with a common solution. We have one Allah. We have one Creator. La ilaha illallah. Allahu khaliqu kulli shay'in wa qa'iman bin nizami kulli shay'in. We have one Creator. And He relates with all of us in one way. He relates with our matters because we are humans. He relates with us. So when it comes to our problem, there are only 4 problems. Number 1, we have what we call the theological problem. Theological problem. We only have what we call the psychological problem. Psychological problem. And we equally have what we call the sociological problem. Sociological problem. We equally have what we call the ecological problem. Ecological problem. Did you see this now? Those are the 4 problems, all that we have. Number 1, the theological problem is the problem that we have with Allah. The problem that we have with Allah. Number 2 is the problem that we have with ourselves. Number 3 is the problem that we have with other people. And number 4 is the problem that we have with the world that we live in. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Let me put a caveat here, because there are 2 unaltered laws of solving this problem. If you understand those laws, number 1 law is that all problems in life fit into these 4 categories. There's no other category. All problem falls into. So when you have any problem, any issue that you're looking at, you can look at them under these 4 categories. That's one. And another caveat is that if you want to now solve those problems, you must solve them according to how they are being listed. Theological problem, then you go to psychological problem, then you go to sociological problem, then you go to ecological problem. Did you see this now? You must solve them accordingly. The problem with Abdullahi was that Abdullahi was concentrating, or his parents were concentrating on problem solving. The fourth problem, that's what they are concentrating on. They started there and they stayed there. He started there and he stayed there. And he was unable to take care of his family. And what is that I cannot take care of his family? What problem is he facing now? He's facing what we call sociological problem. Yes, he's facing sociological problem. Now, it means that the first problem, so there's don't when you now look at it, as I say, that's the problem he faced. So number one problem, I call it the universal theological problem. Universal theological problem. This problem is the number one problem in life. Humanity's problem with Allah. Your relationship with Allah. La ilaha illallah. I don't think I have to make case for this. We are fundamentally flawed from the inside out, from the inside out, and until we resolve this problem with Allah, nothing else will matter. Nothing else will matter. Your relationship with Allah must be cordial. I kept saying that the tree is connected to the ground, and that is why the tree is standing firm. If there is no connection with the tree and the ground, the tree will always fall off. The fish is connected to the water. Once you bring out the fish from the water, then the fish become powerless. The fish can only do his gymnastic when he's inside the water. Man is also connected with Allah. Once you disconnect yourself, once the connection of man and his creator, is shallow, then man is no more, because it's not connected. That magnet between you and Allah must be resolved first. And that is the first problem that you and I have been facing all this while. And until and unless we solve that theological problem, the relationship between you and Allah, until it is solved, innani ana Allahu la ilaha illa ana fa'abuduni. That's relationship. Allah said, Inna Allah, he said, Inna Allah haliku kulli shay'in. He's the one that created everything. That connection must be there. That for that person that created you must have connection with him. That is what we are saying. There must be connection. And our only hope is for Allah, to restore our relationship. We must bring that relationship. Until we fix our relationship with Allah, we will never be able to perceive life. Yes, the way we want it, we won't be able to perceive life the way we want it. It is only God that can give us that clarity. We need to live well in this world, in His world. And that was why He gave us a manual on how to navigate this world. That manual is called the Furqan, the Quran, the Tanzil, La ilaha illa, the Bayyina. That distinction that distinct the truth from the falsehood. So that distinction is the connection with Allah, your relationship with Allah. Your 5 daily prayers must connect. You must use that to connect with Allah 5 times a day. Go, come, go, come, go, come. And you stand. You stand 17 times at least in a day. See that connection first. See that connection. When they say when they say the phone number of Allah is 24434 extension 21x, all those numbers were how? This is how you connect with Allah. You cannot, when I say you cannot have a non-existent, a broken or a cold relationship with Allah and expect to be able to engage life properly. Want me to say this again? You cannot have a non-existent, a broken, or a cold relationship with Allah and expect to be able to enjoy or to be able to engage life properly. It does not work that way. The first and biggest problem that any human must begin to resolve in his or her life is what? Is the problem between him and Allah. Settle. That is smoothing your relationship. Reconcile. Allah said, follow me. Worship me. Reconcile. Worship Allah. Follow Allah. Do those duties. La ilaha illallah. And once you stand right with Allah and you have that maturing faith, you are on the right track in beginning the process of understanding yourself. And that will now take you to the second problem, which happens to be the psychological problem. Psychology. It is the study of the soul. It is the study of the soul. Now, a psychologist is a person who studies the soul. He brings observations, corrections, and counsel to the soul problems. That is the person. So, the greatest human psychology that have. So imagine that you did not have the right relationship with Allah. It should not be impossible. It will be impossible if you don't have the right relationship with Allah. It will be impossible to understand yourself correctly. It will be very, very impossible to understand yourself. Very, very impossible. Only God, and that's why it is only God that can give that clarity that you need. So you cannot receive the intel you need to understand yourself if not that you understand Allah. Ya ayyuha nafsil mutma'inna. That soul that understands himself. La ilaha illallah. If you go back to the story of Abdullah, you will see that there are so lots of problems. Abdullah have problem number 2. He's having that soul problem with himself. That is why he gets frustrated. That is why he doesn't understand himself. He has problem with the next problem number 3, which is the problem, the rational problem. That's the problem number 3. The problem with his wife, his children, his family. And that is the third problem, which happens to be the sociological problem. Sociological problem. How you relate with people around you. And you cannot know how to relate with people around you until and unless you know yourself. And you cannot know yourself until and unless you know that your Creator, you have connection with Him. Did you see how you now need to solve those problems? You cannot understand other people at all. Well, you can't without first understanding yourself. And you cannot understand yourself correctly without understanding Allah. La ilaha illallah. And that is the order. That is the order. It cannot be altered. It cannot be altered. And that is the problem. And that is why Abdullah started in this first place and still stand there. Because it started from number 4. It started from number 4. The parents, the guardians, all what they want is just what you want to become. Then the 4th one is the ecological problem. And look at the ecological problem, the problem that you have with the world around you. I want to become. Al-aakumu taqathur. At-tasutul maqabira. That's what the Quran says. You'll be looking for this world. That is what you are aiming at. That is the only problem you think you want to solve. Until you enter your grave, then your eye will now be open. Kalla sawfa ta'lamuna. You will now understand. Summa kalla sawfa ta'lamuna. You now say, hey, how is it? Kalla law ta'lamuna ilbal yakin. You will now understand the real meaning of life, the real meaning of living that you have altered. You will now understand that you have altered the process of problem solving. Kalla sawfa ta'lamuna, summa kalla sawfa ta'lamuna, kalla law ta'lamuna ilm al-yakin. That real knowledge will now come to you. If it comes to you while you are still alive, now you can now readdress. You can now restate. Look at 41, Abdullah is thinking of changing a job. As you and I have been thinking of changing a job. That thing that you want to read in school, is that what you're reading right now? You see, so many things has come upon and you say you want to start doing this, you want to really do this, you still want to do this, and when it get to a time, they say you must be multi, how they call it? La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Multiple stream of income. When things are start shaky, when it started getting shaky, that's where that idea of multiple stream of incomes come in. You have to get it here, get it there, get it there, because you cannot solve any problem, because you went straight to problem number 4. You went straight to problem number 4, and you're supposed to start from problem number 1, problem number 2, problem number 3, problem number 4. That's how to solve it. That is how to solve it. May Allah make it easy for us. May Allah make it easy for us. May Allah make it easy for us. There are just 4 problems. And when you look at any problem that you're facing on the surface of the earth today, then you put them laconically juxtaposed under those 4 categories. Then you now know where the problem lies. Then you now realize that because you did not take heed about the problem before that one, and that is why you are having ish. Then when you go back to that again, you now realize that there is this first one that you need to take charge of. Allah is our creator. Allah has given us a manual. Allah has showed us the path, ima shakira wa ima kafura. The Prophet ﷺ has said, everybody of his ummah will enter paradise except he who refuses. And who is that refuses? Is that person that failed to solve problem number 1. Because when you don't solve problem number 1, you can't solve number 2, you can't solve number 3, you can't solve number 4. It will just be looking as if the life is sweet. Once you're moving, it's sweet. Once you're moving, you keep enjoying it. Like that man that was told, like that man that was told not to enter into that desert, not to farm in a desert. And when he got to that desert, what did he do? He was trying as much as possible to just, when he tried to put his hoe on the ground to farm, and he heard a voice. The voice says, "What are you doing, Mr. Man?" The man said, "Oh, which voice is that? I just want to do some ridges. I just want to create some ridges here so that I can plant." "Oh, ridges, let us do it for you. Within the twinkle of an eye." Lot of ridges. You see that? He was so, wow, this is life. I'm enjoying life. Then the next day he came again and he wanted to plant. And the next day, what do you want to do, young man? He said, I want to plant. Let us plant for you. In a twinkle of an eye, everything has been planted. And the next time he came, let me look at this beautiful farm. Why will people say I should not come to this place? Look at how I'm enjoying it now. He got there, everything is grown up. Everything. Say, wow, this is wonderful. The next time he came with one of his sons, and he came, he said, let us look at this farm again. And the son just looked at one of the, one branches of the corn that grew. He just said, let me just test this corn, and he cut it off. Then the voice came out. What are you doing? He said, I just want to test this corn, whether it has matured enough. Then they said, let us help you now. And all the farm was brought down. And the dad looked at him and said, what? He just hit him on the head. And he said, this voice came again. What are you doing? I just want to discipline this guy for what he just did. Let us help you. And they finished his son. Then the next thing, himself just put his hand on his head. What are you doing? He couldn't answer. And he was beaten to death. Did you see? When life is going smoothly for you, the first thing you need to understand is, are you following the order? If it comes in the wrong order, you need to redress. You need to understand that you need to know Allah, understand Allah, have a good relationship with Allah. Most people, they like knowing about Allah, but they don't know about Allah. Yes, there are two different things between knowing about Allah and knowing Allah. If you know about Allah, knowing about Allah is just basically about the academics. It's just about the knowing about Him. But when you know Allah, is when trouble come, you know that it is coming from Allah and you are at ease. Oh, you just knew Allah. You just understand Allah. You know that anything that befalls you, hayrihi wa sharrihi min Allahi ta'ala, you come over it and say, oh, Allah, this is what you brought for me. You don't think that any other human being, can cause a thing to happen except and unless Allah make it happen. That is knowing Allah. But you must have been saying you know that. But when anything befalls you, it scatterbalance your brain. It scatterbalance your thinking. Your thinking will now go elsewhere. You start thinking about the villagers. You start thinking about this person that cried yesterday. You start thinking about what happens yesterday. Fa'uzu billahi min zalik. Fa'uzu billahi min zalik. So this is what we are talking about. So stop running helter-skelter. Stop giving yourself that brain drain. Stop having mental health problems here and there. Stop these worries. Stop get frustrated. Stop that depression. Stop crying unnecessarily. There are only 4 problems for you to solve in this world. And you must solve those problems accordingly. If you do, you will enjoy this life. As Allah has also let you understand that if you follow me, you will enjoy. If you do this, you will enjoy. There are so many promises of Allah in the Quran. Yours is to follow. Yours is to submit. And that is where we are Muslims. Islam, peace. Muslims are those people that submit. Taslim. They submit. Alladhina yu'minuna bil ghaibi. Those people that believe in the unknown. They have never seen Allah before, but they know Allah. They know Allah to the extent that they have the sunnah of Allah in their head. And when I say the sunnah of Allah, it means they know how Allah does His things. And even if it is shady, they take it back to Allah. Those are people that stand firm. They have unshakable faith. Their faith matures every day instead of decreasing. Are you ready to solve these life problems? Because your job is to solve them. Yes, your job is to solve them. How do you now solve them? Because most people have been trying to solve them. What you and I is doing on the surface of the earth is to solve those problems. But because we are trying to solve problem number 4 instead of trying to start from number 1, number 2, number 3 before we go to number 4, that is where our problem is. That is where the challenges are. Until and unless you know. And that one way is the Creator. He has your manual. In fact, he has your remote control. The Creator, he has what? Your remote control. He can decide to press pause in your life and you just stand without moving. And those that go straight to number 4, most times when it gets to a stage in life, it will press pause. And you start looking at life, what is happening upon all your education, upon all your master's and doctorate degree, upon all your professional exam, professional certificate here and there. Your life is on a pause. Fa'uz billahi min zalik. Sometimes he will press forward. And when he press forward, you know, when you forward a movie or when you forward a video, you know that video will go faster than necessary. If you have a video of 2 hours and it's forwarded, within a twinkle of an eye, you have finished watching the video. La ilaha illallah. Your life can equally be forwarded. If you go straight to number 4, you just keep the forwarding. And sometimes, la ilaha illallah, if Allah just leave it with playing, it will just be playing, and your life story will just be going accordingly how it is written for you. May Allah not press rewind as well. If you press rewind, la ilaha illallah, anything that you do, you just keep going back. You just keep going back from the beginning. You just keep going back from the beginning. As Abdullahi did, he wanted to start another new job. He wanted to start another new family. He wanted to start another. You just want to go back and start something. The owner of this remote control, the person that the remote is in his hand, is that first and most important problem that we need to solve. The relationship between you and him must be what? Cordial. So when he sees and he holds the remote and he sees you, he knows where to control you to. And where he controls you to, you also believe. Taslim, you submit. And with that, you keep enjoying your life. And you enjoy this life and you enjoy hereafter. May Allah make it easy for each and every one of us. Inshallah, we go for a short break. Inshallah, we'll go for a call to prayer now, inshallah. When we come back, we can open the lines and see if we have 1 or 2 calls to do. Assalamu alaikum.